Hello, guys. How's everybody? Again with the light. Every time I do this, I think I keep thinking my camera's clean until I go live, and then I see the stream shining. Hello, everybody. All right, let me get my, once again, turn this just enough to see the tree. Very important. At least part of the tree. There we go. There we go. All right, we got our little guy here too. Excellent. Oh, actually, I'm going to slouch today again because my back is still hurting me. Fun, fun, fun. And then we will get YouTube or TikTok going. Hey, Nordic, Richard, Paula. 1 second, guys. All right, I'm going to do back to my slouch. There we go. Slouch is ready. Microphone's ready. Excellent. Ooh, give it a little water for the dog. You think that's a good idea, maybe? Start early with the dog thing. Not a terrible idea. All right. There we go. As our regulars know, the dog will be demanding water at some point, so I might as well get him in the way. I might as well get rolling on that soon. Woo! All righty. Welcome, folks. Let me get TikTok. Yeah, nothing happening today. Oh, my God. What crazy freaking news we've been having. My God. We are going to talk about Korea today, too. I mean, my God. All right, TikTok's coming along now. Excellent. Woo. Man, just crazy. Thank you, Dave, for asking people to like the stream. Very important. As always, we'll take maybe a minute just for folks to join us on TikTok as well. And then we'll get rolling. Hey, Alan. Hey, Ash. Welcome, TikTokers. Flip the screen. Okay, fine. I knew I was forgetting something. There we go. There we go. All right. Actually, it's funny because I noticed the screen was looking different, but I didn't know why. I wasn't thinking. My back is bad. Thank you, Aaron. I went to 2 different specialists today for the back. I have to go and get the little sort of spinal steroid injection thing I got 8 years ago. I have to get again, which I'm like, ugh. It's relatively safe, but like every procedure, it can be dangerous. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, John. Thank you, Daniel. So, blah. Yes, we will start talking about South Korea. Have no fear. That'll be our first. It is not a spinal tap. No, no. It's I don't think you'd call it sciatic pain. Who's that? Elizabeth, Martin, Kathy, Jorge, Mustard. A lot of you guys today. Celtic, Catherine. Thank you. Yeah, no, it's just well, we can talk about my back later, but yeah, it's the spine is compressing the nerve. So YouTube's live already. Already there, Amanda. I'm talking to the YouTubers. They're there. Oh, thank you, Ariel. Woo! Very nice for the constellations. Thank you for that. I cannot play Christmas music. I would on TikTok, but YouTube gets upset. So, yep, Leah, it's called a cervical epidural. So I had 2 of them in New York 8 years ago. The second one finally worked. Thank you, Richard. First one did not work. But I'm just kind of annoyed that I have to go get more shots. And I've got to, in DC being a smaller town, I've got to go way into the suburbs. It's like a 35-minute Uber. I mean, everything about it is such a pain in the ass. YouTube is connected. I'm watching the YouTubers right now. Folks on YouTube, you can hear me, right? There's like multiple people on TikTok going, YouTube isn't live. I'm like, I'm talking to them. There's Gunther. Yeah. There's Nordic. Thank you. Yeah, I'm there. The injections don't hurt. No. They get they numb your back. Actually, it's not such a bad thing. One of the things they can do when you have like a pinched nerve coming from your spine is they can inject. Okay, it sounds gross, but they can inject steroids in your spine. But it's not really in your spine. There's a lot of open air areas. If you think of the bones in your spine, there's a lot of open space. They inject it in the open space. And then the steroid kind of seeps around and calms everything down. So I've had it before when I lived in New York. It works. It's just not a lot of fun, Oof, monthly spinal taps. Yikes. All right, guys, let's get rolling here. Welcome, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. When a German guy comes back on TikTok, we can fill him in. We talked to Syndicate. Actually, for mods, I'll tell you right now, I don't know if you saw, but Syndicate said that basically Discord, the great powers that be, do not like German guy. The algorithm thinks he's a troll. So that's why they're asking for his cell phone number and all that kind of stuff. It's not clear why, but their algorithm doesn't like him. It's not us. It's not our actual Discord. Let's get rolling. Romania, don't really have much to add with Romania. There's no news yet on it. Thank you, Bjorn. What was going on with Romania, actually, we're going to talk about a lot of foreign policy today. There's a lot of news. Korea's the big story we'll talk about. I had two scheduled for tonight. Oh, look at me being all, hold on, I got to cancel the other one. Look at me being all proactive. I just assumed I didn't schedule a live for tonight. All right, hold on. I'm going to kill the other one. That's funny. I totally assumed I didn't schedule the live. All right. Well, let me, you know what? I'm going to put this one. Stop it. I will set this one for tomorrow, and somebody needs to go and tell everybody. Yeah, maybe go into the other live and tell them that this one's going to be for tomorrow. If somebody wants to go in there. Sorry about that. Now I know what you guys were talking about. Sorry, everybody. I was on the wrong. I didn't know I was being good, and I actually had set up the live on TikTok, on YouTube already. So at the last minute, I said, oh, no, I haven't set it up yet. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to talk a lot about foreign policy today. Big story out of South Korea. Just so folks know, I have a foreign policy expertise. I am not a Korea expert, and it's been a long time, that I've studied this stuff, but my background is actually in foreign policy and law. I did a joint law degree at Georgetown, along with their Masters of Science in Foreign Service, which is, many people say, I don't want to sound like Donald Trump, but many people say the top school in the country, if not the world, for international relations. It's certainly public policy. And so my background is foreign policy. I certainly have not done anything with Korea, so I'm not going to, but we're going to talk about Korea. We're going to talk about Georgia. We'll talk about Syria. I can at least give you a sense of what's going on with just my political knowledge of the regions and all of that. Even though like I said, I'm not an expert on Korea, but I do have an expertise in foreign policy. So there we go. Anyway, I'm just trying to let people, I know you're intelligent. That wasn't it, Larry. It was just like, because people, once the Syria stuff started blowing up, people were joking on Twitter about, now everybody's going to be a Syria expert. And I didn't want to seem like I'm one of those people that comes onto TikTok and YouTube and is like, oh, I'm suddenly an expert in Korea. I am not an expert in Korea. I am an expert in foreign policy, but not Korea. So I've got something to say. All right, let's move. So Korea, this was crazy today. The Korean president suspended democracy in Korea. He outlawed democracy. It was crazy. His explanation was even crazier. He was pissed off that for the last year and a half, the opposition party, he's very conservative, the opposition party was, he was pissed off that they weren't passing his budget. For a year and a half, they didn't pass his budget. They were starting to impeach members of his cabinet, right? So his top officials, impeaching them basically means you legislatively have a vote to remove them from office. So he declared them enemies of the state. He declared all the opposition parties and all the politicians claimed that they were in cahoots with North Korea. North Korea is the horrific dictatorship that divides the Korean peninsula. North Korea is not just a horrific dictatorship. It is the worst dictatorship in the world, the most brutal, most horrific dictatorship in the world. And there's always a tension there. He claimed that the opposition politicians were in cahoots with North Korea and they were trying to overthrow the country or something. I mean, guys, crazy. This is like crazy talk, absolutely crazy talk. So he suspends all civil liberties, suspends politics, makes it illegal to all opposition political parties are illegal. It's illegal to protest. It's illegal to spread fake news. So if you criticize the government, you go to jail. Police don't need search warrants to bang into your houses. I mean, crazy stuff. Well, the parliament under the South Korean constitution has the ability to overrule this. So the parliament voted something like 190 members. The parliament has 300 or so members. I don't know. 190 showed up. The other 110 didn't show up. 190 showed up. All 190 voted for democracy. It was 190-0 that they voted against this guy and said no more martial law. Now, under the Korean constitution, you can do that. You can, the parliament can vote and say overrule martial law, which is military law, right? No longer democracy, where the military is in charge. The parliament can vote and say Well, the parliament voted 100% and said it's gone. The military, initially reports were that the military refused to abide by the parliament's vote, which is crazy. Now, Callum was telling me, which is interesting, and who knows if this is why. Thank you, Camacho. But who knows if this is why? Right. Even actually, Jens mentioned even members of his own. I believe it was even like the leader of his own party came out and said, "This is ridiculous. What are you doing?" So the military refuses to abide. We heard at least reported that the military refused to abide by the South Korean parliament's vote rescinding martial law, which they have to. I was talking to Callum about it. Thank you, Christina. Thanks for the gifts, guys. Keep them coming. Thank you, Baz. Callum was telling me that, in Britain, I think he was saying in Britain, for example, that so let me see. I'm going to find the exact quote since Callum says it's okay for me to quote him occasionally. That's right. Now that Callum's in the U.S., he texts me regular style. He says, I strongly, military not stepping down on orders of parliament gets tricky. For example, in the British Army, we swore allegiance to the crown and not the parliament. Now that's interesting, right? So they swore allegiance to the king, not the parliament. I know in the US, they swear to the president, which is true, and the Constitution. So actually, they swear to the Constitution. They don't even swear to the president. It gets a little tricky depending on who the military pledges allegiance to. Let me see here, dude. As usually. Yeah, very confusing. So anyway, so the military refuses to abide by the orders from the legislature. Suddenly, the president turns around and says, "No more martial law. We're not going to do it anymore. Democracy is back." Callum disagrees with me on this. I disagree with Callum on this. I think Biden was not doing a lot. Biden did not speak on this at all, which was not good. I think Biden got the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, our top military official, to call their top military official and say, if you ever want to see another American fighter jet, another American weapon, another American soldier defending your country against North Korea, you are gonna abide by the Congress right now, abide by the decision of your parliament, or you can kiss our support goodbye. Now, it gets a little tricky because, and again, Callum and I were discussing this. Normally, I don't quote what people tell me, but Callum says I can generally mention his points of view. Callum's former British military. Thank you, Karis. We were both saying that it gets tricky because obviously the U.S. is not going to cut off South Korea. Trump might, because Trump's an idiot. But normal people will not cut off South Korea. We're not going to cut off defending them because we're defending them against North Korea. That's too important. We're defending them against China, too. That's too important. So we're not going to not defend them. But a Democratic administration, for sure, would be very upset about South Korea rescinding democracy. I suspect many Republicans in Congress, even Trump Republicans, might not like it. So I think somebody threatened the military and told the military, our military told theirs, you can kiss cooperation goodbye. And the military said, okay, we're going to obey. We're going to obey. Crazy story. South Korea has been a democracy for 40 years or something. Military rule ended way back then. Still a serious security situation in South Korea because they're right bordering North Korea, and the North Koreans are crazy. Really, really wild. I mean, it's a wild story, though. I mean, South Korea suspending democracy. It's like, oh my God. Thank you, Succeed. So far things are good. Democracy's back. People are protesting. I was just watching CNN Live. People are all protesting this morning. It's like 7 or 8 a.m. or 7:30 a.m. I think in South Korea. People are protesting and demanding the president resign, which, I can kind of appreciate that. It's pretty wild. Yeah. So that's the latest. But I mean, honestly, this president sounds a little crazy. It doesn't make it almost doesn't. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me that the president would say, we'll get to Georgia next, DJ, that the president would say, their president, you're obviously in cahoots with North Korea and I'm going to suspend democracy. Why would he do that? That's crazy. Any case. Okay. So another big issue going on is Syria. Let's talk about Syria first. Syria, another brutal dictatorship, not as bad as North Korea, but really bad. Syria run by Bashar Assad, son of Hafez Assad. Hafez was the dictator back in the 1980s, and later his father, brutal dictator. Bashar, I should say, is his son, another brutal dictator, killed 1 million of his own people. The father as well killed, was it in Homs? I'm trying to remember where the father murdered all those people, the massacre in the 1980s. But horrific, just horrific dictator family. Super allied with Russia. Russia has military bases in Syria. Russia has its only Mediterranean military naval port in Syria. Syria gave the Soviet Union, and then Russia inherited it, a naval port in 1971. So Russia's only Mediterranean naval port is in Syria. Well, he's in trouble. The opposition, lots of different opposition military folks, insurgents, fighting against Assad for years. They suddenly got the upper hand. They've just taken a big chunk of the country. They took Aleppo the other day, which is the second largest city. This weekend they took it, the second largest city in Syria. Assad is in real danger. The Americans did some airstrikes. The Russians did some airstrikes. What gets interesting is Preston Stewart was saying today, Preston's a really good former military and current military expert, former military member, current military expert on Twitter and TikTok. He's very good. Preston said there are reports that Syrian opposition forces are advancing as Russia, Iran, and Hezbollah sit on the sidelines. He said, not clear to me right now if any of them are planning to bail Assad out this time. So here's what to sort of keep in mind. You've got Assad, the dictator in Syria. He's allied with Hezbollah, the terrorist group in Lebanon. They're the ones bombing the Israel. This is Lebanon, not so you got Gaza, Palestinian area, run by a terrorist group called Hamas. And they're the people who attacked the Israelis, killed over 1,000 people. The Israelis blew them up, right? Then you've got Hezbollah, terrorist group, taking over half of Lebanon. Not the elected government. That the Palestinians did elect Hamas, which is a really stupid move. In Gaza, the Lebanese did not pick Hezbollah. Hezbollah just forced itself on them. So you got Hezbollah attacking Israel from Lebanon. The Iranians are the big supporter of Hezbollah, the terrorist group in Lebanon. The Iranians give Hezbollah all their weapons, not all, but a lot of their weapons, and they transport them to Lebanon via Syria. And the Syrians are allied with Hezbollah, and the Iranians and the Syrians are allied with Russia. So it's all Russia, Iran, Syria, causing all sorts of trouble in Lebanon and everywhere else. Well, Syria is blowing up. Assad could get overthrown. If Assad gets overthrown, the people taking over are not great friends with Iran and the Russians. What's funny about it, not funny, weird. Okay, the good news is, if Assad gets overthrown, the Iranians no longer have the ability to channel weapons into Lebanon. So the Iranians can no longer fund the Hezbollah terrorists. The Hezbollah terrorists are the folks who the Israelis blew up their pagers. A couple of weeks ago, remember they blew up like 5,000 pagers and killed all these guys? That's Hezbollah. They're the terrorist group running half of Lebanon. They can't get any more weapons from the Iranians. So all of a sudden, Hezbollah now loses a lot of power if Syria blows up and Assad gets overthrown. Iran loses a lot of power if Syria blows up and Assad gets overthrown. Okay? The Russians lose a lot of power if Syria blows up and he gets overthrown because Syria is Russia's only big ally. Really, their only big ally and their biggest ally, and I would say probably their only big ally, but their biggest ally in the Middle East is Syria. Russia loses it, and they've lost the majority of the power they had in the Middle East. They've lost if they lose Syria. So this is bad for Russia. It's bad for Iran. It's bad for Assad in Syria, of course, because he'd be killed or overthrown. It's great for Lebanon, for the free people of Lebanon. It's horrific for the terrorist group Hezbollah in Lebanon. It's good for the Israelis because the terrorist Hezbollah group is attacking Israel. It gets a little tricky, however, because among the coalition of groups attacking Assad, the insurgents are a group that's an offshoot of Al-Qaeda, the terrorist group, like it's called HTS. I don't remember what the actual abbreviation stands for, HTS. And the U.S. still designates them as a terrorist group. I saw a defense expert this weekend saying that the people that are opposing Assad in Syria are Islamists. When I say Islamists, I mean the crazy people, like the mullahs of Iran kind of thing, or like the Taliban kind of thing. She even called them Taliban light, L-I-T-E. So that's not good. So it's a really scary situation in Syria, because in the long term, we could have a new Taliban or Taliban-ish people take over. In the short term, it's really good. HTS is Free Syrian Army. Okay. In the short term, it's really good because Assad sucks. The Russians lose by the way, the Russians not only lose their biggest ally, but the Russians would lose their only naval port in the Mediterranean, which would be huge. The Iranians lose their major ally. The Iranians, Hezbollah loses its ability to get weapons from Iran. I mean, on every level, it certainly helps Israel and America and free people, and frankly, the Lebanese people themselves. The Syrian people, iffy, right? Because they're replacing one dictator with another. But it's very scary stuff for the long term, but fascinating for the short term. And the Kurds are also in the north. I'm not sure if the Kurds, I'd read at one point that the Kurds might have been fighting, and then I read another point the Kurds weren't really fighting, that they might not be involved in this particular battle that's going on right now. So I'm not sure. So that's Syria, which again just blew up in the last 5 days. Crazy. Now, oh, by the way, Syria gets interesting too, because you've got Iran and Russia vested in trying to keep Assad in Syria alive because he's their big ally. But what's Russia busy doing right now? Russia's busy in Ukraine. Russia can't afford to get involved in another war. I mean, they can do something, right? But Russia doesn't want to be like literally going to war in Syria to prop up their dictator if they can help it. They don't have the troops and the ammunition and everything else to do it, the weapons, or they've got to be very careful, right? If you're Iran, you just got done exchanging missiles with Israel. If you're Iran, you don't necessarily want to be involved in a full-fledged war in Syria either, because you need to protect yourself for the next back and forth with the Israelis. So it's really, and let's go one step further. If you're Russia, you don't want Iran in another war in the Middle East because you want Iran to be giving you weapons, right? The Russians want Iran to be giving it the drones and everything they can. So anyway, fascinating. From a foreign policy perspective, this is fascinating stuff. Scary, obviously, but fascinating too. Then you get Georgia. I did not see any news today about Georgia, the country of Georgia. Country of Georgia used to be Soviet. It was part of the Soviet Union. It broke free, early 1990s when everybody else did from the Soviet Union. Its government, for the last, I think, maybe 12 or 13 years, they've been ruled by this political party called Georgia Dream. But the Georgia Dream Party is a little too close to the Russians. Not very friendly with NATO, not very friendly with the European Union. Even though the Georgian Constitution even says that Georgia will join NATO and Georgia will join the European Union. It's like part of the law of the land. Well, this party is trying to stop it. And months ago, they sort of let know that they wanted to sort of slow down the European Union thing. People got upset, protested. They then were trying to pass a Russian-style propaganda law, basically a law to more easily clamp down, imprison pro-democracy movements in the country, freedom movements, civil rights groups, things like that. And it's literally a Putin law. They took a Putin law and passed it in Georgia. People protested on the streets, huge protests. The government backed down and said, okay, we won't do it. Well, then they did it anyway, once the protests went away. Now what the government did a couple days ago, the government turned and said, we are now going to postpone our application to the European Union until 2028. So the government said, yeah, I know we applied to the European Union because you all, and support for the European Union is like 80% or something. They said, well, we're going to just postpone our application for 4 years. We're not going to act on it. And the people went crazy and they're protesting again. So that's what's going on now. People are in the streets protesting the government. The government is freaking out. The Russians are freaking out because the Russians are trying to stop all of their former hostages, like Ukraine, like the Baltic states, like Georgia, trying to basically stir up as much trouble as they can. And they certainly don't want them becoming closer to the West. Russia invaded Ukraine. Well, it's interesting. Russia invaded Ukraine in part in 2014 because they were upset that Ukraine was joining the European Union, but also Russia just covets Ukraine. Russia wants the land, that they want to reconstitute the Soviet Union, basically. So in this case, Russia is trying to make sure that Georgia stays within its political orbit, its political influence. And in a sense, what's happening in Georgia is very much like what happened in Ukraine. In Ukraine, you had huge demonstrations, and they basically chased out the government in 2014. The government was a pro-Moscow government, and they were going back on the country's promise to join the EU and everything else. The people rose up, and the people in the parliament got rid of the government, and the government had to flee. Well, the Russians hate it because the Russians are the Russians and the fascist sympathizers keep going, oh, it was a coup. It wasn't a coup. You had literally millions of people protesting in the streets, and the parliament jumped in and said, yeah, you're leaving. So it was a people-powered movement, a beautiful thing. And the same thing is happening in Georgia right now. So crazy stuff. So that's Georgia and Syria and South Korea. Absolutely crazy. Thank you, Laddie, for the gift. I mean, insane. Yes, the Russian economy is in trouble. It's not clear whether it's going to collapse. The ruble's been in real trouble lately against the dollar, or I should say against Western currencies in general. Thank you, Laddie. Thank you, Heidi. I will say this from the stuff I've been reading. The economists don't necessarily think Russia is collapsing economically. They're in trouble. Inflation is growing. They're having to spend a ton of the money, like a third of their budget now is being spent on defense, which is a crazy percentage. U.S., what is it? Is it in the teens? What's it in the U.S.? Alexa, what percentage of the U.S. budget goes to the military? 15, maybe? My Alexa's a little slow. Alexa, what percentage of the U.S. budget goes to the military?
I don't know that.
Oh, come on. Alexa, what percentage of the U.S. budget goes to the Pentagon?
Sorry, I don't know that.
She's such a moron. Google's better. Is it 13%? I was thinking 15. I doubt it's 25. 13. Thank you, Greg and Judy in waiting. So 13%. The Russians are spending 30% this year, and they can't afford it. It's crazy. The Dream Party in Georgia are resigning left and right. Oh, that's great, Hardly, if that's true. I did not hear that. That's great. Yeah, in Georgia, in Poland, I think it's 4 or 5% that they're spending. I don't know what the 4 to 5%, not of their budget. I'm sorry, 4 to 5% of GDP. I shouldn't say the budget. It could be a larger number of the budget. Sorry, I was talking of their economy overall. Anyway, so that I wanted to start the show by talking about that stuff because it's absolutely crazy. Let me see here. Oh, the other good news. Michael Weiss, who's another defense expert online. I mean, he's a defense expert in real life. He's a writer, but I also follow him on Twitter. And he was saying today that there's evidence that the Russians may be evacuating their naval base in Syria, that they may be removing their ships, getting ready for the country to collapse, or just in case the country collapses. So it's pretty damn funny. It's pretty damn funny. I did see the China stuff. I don't really know the impact. China cut back on some raw materials they provide the U.S. I didn't get a chance to look at it. It was in retaliation for us cutting back, I believe, on some of the chips we send them. My guess from just looking at it, and again, I hate to even guess, my guess from looking at it was these might be raw materials we need to make chips. I don't remember. Anybody want to share with us? I don't want to say that that's true because I don't know, but I saw the story really quick and I thought, I wonder if we use those to make chips. And China's kind of, getting even with us. But the Chinese are basically starting to play hardball back with us again, which is very interesting. Wilson says yes. One of the gallium. I saw gallium. I just don't know what gallium's for. Is gallium for semiconductors? Chips in electric vehicles? Okay. Rare metals, earth metals go into electronics. Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. So that's that. Let me see here. Supposedly the Russians are sending mercenaries into Syria to help out. They're moving some of the sort of the Wagner group type people that were in Africa over to Syria now to help, which is funny too, because then it cuts down on the ability of them being able to help the Africans, which is good because we want Russia to have less influence in Africa. Okay, that's it for those places. I will switch back to Ukraine now. Actually, I'll do a couple different things. We are still raising money for kids in Ukraine. We're going to go maybe another day, I think, we've been raising. There's a nonprofit in Amsterdam that is basically having people collect toys for Ukrainian kids. Ukrainian kids put pictures up of themselves and what toys they want. And then actually, I can show you. I can show you. And then you go and buy the toys, and then you turn them over. Now, the only thing is, let me see if I can get into Discord here. You drop them off at the nonprofit, the charity, and then the charity goes and, oops, I don't have Discord on here, do I? Shoot. I don't have Discord on my iPad. I didn't realize that. Oh, that sucks. Okay, let me see. I was going to see if Syndicate got me. It may not let me in. Let me see. And it's not going to let me log in. Any case, we've been raising money to get kids for gifts for Christmas gifts for Ukrainian kids, Christmas and New Year's gifts for Ukrainian kids. The money will go towards 100% of the donations will go to buying the gifts, and then we will. I'll have to wait. I don't want to screw this up. 100% of the money will go to buying the gifts. Syndicate and his wife Michaela. Syndicate's one of our moderators and a friend for years. They've been going and buying the gifts. I was going to show you really cute pictures of the gifts they bought already. So if you can help. They set up a website called secretsantaforukraine.com. He's fixed the site, so hopefully it's no longer doing that weird Dutch thing. But thank you for the gift there, KT. It's called secretsantaforukraine.com. And you can find the donation button, donate. 100% of the money will go towards Syndicate and his wife buying the gifts and for the kids of Ukraine, and then they will drop the gifts off at the charity in Amsterdam. So if you can help, please do. The other thing, and I'll show you the pictures later. Thank you, Jay. Our auctions end tomorrow. I'm going to talk about Ukraine in a second, but I've got to pitch the auctions. We've got really cool auctions this week. Every week, I auction stuff, usually from Ukraine, sometimes elsewhere. But I mean, really cool stuff we get from Ukraine. And half the money goes to support the Ukrainians in their war effort. Half of it goes to support me in my effort because I do this full time. And the way I'm able to do the show and the work I do throughout the day is with your guys' subscriptions and your gifts you give me here and the auctions and everything else. Thank you, Jay, for the gift, by the way. But I want to show you a few of the auction items because they end tomorrow. So tonight is the last night for me to pitch these. Some of them will go through tomorrow night, so maybe tomorrow night too. But guys, I've got really cool stuff. The mods can tell you how to go on Discord. Actually, I'll tell you right now. You can find the auctions on Discord, on YouTube. Go to the description of today's show, and you should see a Discord link. On TikTok, go to my profile page. Look for the Linktree link. Click it. And a thing comes up. I think Venmo's at the top, and the next thing says Discord. If you're on a computer, you can click the Discord link. It'll take you. If you're on a phone, you can't click the Discord link. You've got to hold it down. And then when you hold it down, it'll do a pop-up that says accept invite. Click it, and then join Discord. Look for the actual auctions. Now, let me show you a few things because we've got very cool things this time. Among other things, because I did not show this enough this week, we have a Ukrainian camouflage net. A real Ukrainian military camouflage net. They made this for us expressly. We've been raising money for the Ukrainians to make camouflage nets over the last couple of years, and the people who make them on order, on spec from the military, made some small nets for us. This one's like 4.5 feet by 5 feet, so a little less than a meter by a little less than 2 meters by 2 meters, maybe 1.5 meters, maybe something like that. They're really cool. They're camouflage nets, and it's the real thing. It's the real thing. So check this out. Didn't work. Sorry, Susie. But this is a very cool auction item. Another super cool auction item, because we did some more research on this. I kid you not. This is a container. It is empty. It is a grenade container, a Ukrainian grenade container. Now, it's actually Bulgarian. It is... it's got the Bulgarian on here. Oops, upside down. It's Bulgarian. It is used by the Ukrainian military. It's an ammo box for grenades. We actually found the links online for it, the pictures. It takes 20 grenades. The grenades fit on the big box on the left, and then on the right is where the fuses go. But we found the pictures online and everything. Actually, it's in the thread on Discord. If you look in the comment to the auction, it's there. It is really cool. There's actually... The original papers are still here that have got the writing on it saying what year the box was inspected and all of that. This is so freaking cool. And it's got the latches and stuff. Like, you can use this as an actual storage box. This is what Callum always warns me about when I see these things and I'm like, I want to keep it. I am not going to keep it. We've already had some bids on it. I'm very happy. It's not light. It's about 10 pounds. So if you're international, be aware. If it goes international, it's going to be heavy. So domestic shouldn't be a problem, but international could be pricey. That's not the only cool thing. We've got a Russian drone from Ukraine, a kamikaze drone from Ukraine that the Ukrainian troops themselves pulled down with a fishing net. We're auctioning this off. Ukrainian troops pulled it down, got it to us because they wanted us to auction it to help their war effort. This is totally cool. I would make funny luggage, wouldn't it? There's just tons of, I mean, I don't want to like show you everything, but it is the last night. A cool trivet. The trivet's really neat. Ukrainian folk art. It's for putting hot food on from juniper. Very pretty. You've also got, oops, hold on here. Maybe I am going to show you everything. Why not? You know what? I'll show you as much as I can here. What the heck? Cool Ukrainian bracelet. I mean, not a big deal compared to everything else, but still very pretty. Ukrainian military patch. This is way better. This is a Wagner Group patch. It's a real one. It's used from Ukraine. It is from the era when the Wagner Group was at its peak, not the current Wagner Group that doesn't really exist anymore. This was from when Prigozhin was running it right before the coup. It says, not a step back. It has kind of a scary story behind it, to be honest, but it's a real patch. These things quite literally go for $150 to $300 on eBay. They used to go for $100 on eBay. Now they go for $150 to $350 because Wagner doesn't exist anymore. The bidding is well below that. So this, I've got a bunch of them. I'm framed, but this one I found it didn't fit in the frame. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to finally auction it off for you guys. Check it out. Like I said, this is very cool. Also, a Zelensky shirt. Zelensky sweatshirt. These are the sweatshirts that President Zelensky buys. We found the same company. We bought them. This is a medium, so it's relatively small. Be aware. It's the last one we've got is a medium. They're wonderful sweatshirts. They're super comfortable. So go check that out. I think that's it for, the last little thing I will show you. Put this away. The sweatshirt, it's a medium though, just beware. Like I said, for me, it would be a little too small because it's a true medium. You know what I mean? Or maybe even a small medium, a little on the small side, just to be careful with it because it's all cotton. So when you wash it, right? The final thing, which is also very cool, is continuing our grenade theme. This is a small grenade case from Ukraine. It says grenades on the back, a hand grenade. And the Ukrainians painted it as trench art. Trench art is when you take sort of things of war, the leftovers of war, detritus, and you turn it into art. And they painted the Ukrainian symbol on it with the blue and gold, which are the Ukrainian colors. I know Mando's like, stop showing my artwork, because Mando really wants this one. But I just think it's so pretty and neat. It's just a neat kind. And it's signed by the artist on the back, which is nice. The artist's name and then Kharkiv. It says Kharkiv. I asked Vlad, it says Kharkiv, and Vlad said that means Kharkiv city. So meaning he's not from the province, he's from the actual city of Kharkiv, which is cool. All right. I will stop showing the auction items now, but it's a ton of stuff, guys. Very cool stuff. Oh, yeah, trench art's been around for a while. I've got a good friend of mine here in D.C. who was a former top NATO official, has trench art and artillery shell from World War I. And it's the prettiest thing. It's from World War I, and my hair is back. Oh, I know my hair is back. I know. My hair grows fast, doesn't it? Thank you, Jeremy. I think you said my hair is black. I'm like, I wish it were black. It's not black anymore. But my friend, who is a former NATO official, has a World War I military shell, artillery shell that was decorated by doing like indents on it. I don't know whether they had a tool and they went doop, doop, doop. So imagine the entire piece is like pockmarked with these little, like if you took a screwdriver, went boom, 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 all the little holes. It's little holes. I wouldn't even call it engraved. Little holes, like little dents. They dented the entire thing to make a beautiful pattern. It's absolutely stunning. It's from Punch Art. Is that what it's called? The anonymizer? It's from World War I. Some guy in the trenches did it. Just absolutely beautiful. Anyway, so we've got a lot of cool stuff. German, just so you know, I don't know if Ash told you, Syndicate looked into it and said it's Discord. It's not us. We don't have a verification with phones. Discord for some reason isn't liking you coming to our Discord, and I have no idea why. I have no idea. I asked him today. I said, "Do you have?" No? He goes, "No, we don't do that." He goes, "That's Discord doing some weird verification." So I'm not sure what to tell you. I'm sorry about that. I mean, it bums me out, but I don't know why. Yeah. No, one of our guys here is having a problem getting into our auctions. Well, our Discord overall, and it's because Discord itself isn't trusting him. So I'm sorry. Yeah, they won't send to the code. I don't know what the. Again, I mean, you're sure you're putting it in correctly? The plus symbol for your country. I mean, all that. I mean, you guys are used to doing this abroad. You know, we don't tend to do international text messages, but he's a robot. I know. Maybe you're a robot. I don't know. Hey, if he's a robot who's willing to bid, I'm okay with robots who bid in the auctions. Anyway, guys. All right. Oh, you're in the U.S. now. Oh, yeah, that's even weirder because you'd think in the U.S. it would be more okay with your IP. Yeah, Amanda is saying this could be an actual Discord support question. That's not a bad point. I don't know where support is for Discord itself, but you need to reach out to them if you don't mind asking. I'm sorry about the trouble. Thank you, Larissa. All right, so let's move on, guys. So do check out the auction items. Like I said, we've got cool stuff. It supports my work. It supports the Ukrainians, and I really I wanted next week. There's going to be some good stuff too, actually. But I wanted to get like some of the nicest stuff we've ever had this week, so that people could get stuff in time for Christmas too, because I think it's pretty cool Christmas stuff. So, oh, Eliminator, be careful. I forgot about vague news. You're funny. I'm like, is somebody accusing us of vague news again? I totally forgot about that. Lori, basically the auctions are over on a site called Discord. It's an application you download on your phone or your computer, and there are chat communities there. So you have to. It's not easy to set up. I hate to say, I found it very difficult at first, but you have to like download this thing called Discord, create a free account, and then follow the link from my profile to subscribe. It's a little difficult when you first do it. I mean, I hate to admit it up front, but people should know it's not easy the first time you go. So you can try, but it's not going to be easy as a newbie, I think. I shouldn't say that. Maybe some of you are newbies. Hellianne, you want to be careful. I got to warn people on TikTok. The thing to be careful of, be careful when you repeat what the trolls say, because we've banned people before not realizing they were being funny. So you want, like, Hellianne, because you're a subscriber, I know you're joking, but just be careful. Be careful with the jokes, because we've had it happen before. Actually, we did have somebody who said, remember at the beginning, we had somebody, I was talking about Putin, and somebody wrote, "He's a liar." and the mods banned the person thinking he was saying, "I'm a liar," which was very funny, which I thought was really funny. Yeah, I think Luis is being funny. Because I think he's saying "you lie," because I was talking about how they always said, "You lie, you lie." I'm going to guess Luis is being funny too. But that's why you guys don't want to repeat the jokes, because it's really not clear. Trust me, we've banned people before. They're like, "What did I do?" I'm like, "We thought you were being mean." Anyway, yeah, that Discord is not easy though. Yeah, I joined because I was like checking out some other communities I was into, and it was very confusing when I first got out. Even joining, I was like, and then figuring out how to maneuver. Oh, this cup. Where did I get this cup? From a young man named Callum. Callum got me a couple Scottish Starbucks mugs. So that's where I got this, from Callum. So if you're nice to Callum, or find a Scotsman or Scotswoman who's nice to you, you may be able to get your mugs. Or the loosing, exactly, the loosing. The loosing comments were some of the first ones. Ukraine is loosing. We're like, loosing, okay. All right. Speaking of Ukraine, we can start talking about Ukraine here. Well, that's a good question. Corso asks, why is Ukraine not using the long-range ATACMS now that they can? They don't have enough of them. One big problem was that Ukraine didn't have many. The U.S. did not have many more that we could give them, so that even though we gave Ukraine permission to then use the weapons long-range inside Russia, they can't do that many attacks. So there's either they don't have any more, or they've got such a limited number that they're trying to save them for very high-value targets. In other words, like, the biggest bang for the buck they can get, which means you got to hold off. We did talk about the protests in Georgia. Yes, sports fan, I did. I got into that. I think right after we talked a little bit. Yeah, right after Syria. Yep. Again, good pro-democracy protests. I hope they're successful. We'll see. Also, I don't know whether the Russians are going to be able to pull any fast games or not. We'll see. But let's do a little more Ukraine news here. Okay, Ukraine won't accept security guarantees substituting NATO membership. So this is interesting. I don't know that it's going to matter, but the Ukrainians are saying it's BS that NATO is saying, well, we don't want to let you join NATO, but we'll give you other promises to guarantee your security if you reach peace with the Russians. And Ukrainians are saying, bullshit, we want NATO. Now, Michael Clark over at Sky News, who's a military expert there, he proposed something that I proposed. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm unique in proposing this, though. But he said, NATO's not going to accept Ukraine in right now. What can they do to help guarantee Ukraine's survival, right? Like if they reach a peace deal, what's going to stop Russia from just building back up again for 3 years, build up their military and invade again, which is what Russia did last time. Well, what he's proposing is something I proposed. He said, okay, if you can't have a NATO guarantee, right? Because then if Ukraine's a member of NATO, Russia attacks again, Russia's at war with NATO. You spread NATO troops, NATO member country troops, like the Brits and the French, who another report out today from a senior NATO official saying the Brits and the French are in fact talking about potentially putting their troops in Ukraine as a guarantee, not to involve in the war, but as peacekeepers, and to put them on the front line between the Ukrainians and the Russians as peacekeepers so that, and this gets interesting, so that if the Russians were to attack, they would have to kill British and French troops. And that would invoke Article 5, the NATO collective self-defense. So even if the Brits and the French are not there as NATO, but they're there as individual countries, it still would bring NATO's commitment to defend those countries if the Russians attacked. So I think Clark is correct, and that's what I've said, is the whole time, you don't want United Nations peacekeepers, you want NATO peacekeepers, you want it from the biggest countries around. America, if you can do it, Trump won't do it though. You'd want America, you'd want the Brits, you'd want the French, Germans, I guess, Norwegians, Poland, basically the big guys that you want to pull in so that if the Russians attack, it's a tripwire. Oh, thank you, Wandering. Ooh, very nice gift. Ooh. See, now, and I will say, especially folks on TikTok, whenever the gifts go long, they're really nice gifts. Because like that was, for TikTok, that was a very long gift. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that, Wandering. Thank you. Thank you, Max, as well for the gift. So he's not wrong. And like I said, there was a report today that the French and Germans are actively discussing whether they put peacekeeping troops in Ukraine, if in fact a peace deal is reached. Now, Institute for Study of War, which is a big defense think tank here in DC that I quote a lot, they're very good. They did an analysis today on what Putin wants as part of the peace deal. And interestingly, they think he's going to turn Trump down. They think he's going to basically be difficult with Trump. Now, let's see. I'm kind of intrigued as to whether Trump would stand, whether Putin would risk basically telling Trump no, because Trump's saying, I want both of you to sit down and negotiate peace in good faith. Whether Putin would really say no, right? But what Institute for Study of War was saying is they quoted a prominent Russian voice saying that Putin has no interest in a negotiated settlement. He will not engage in anything that results in anything less than total Ukrainian capitulation. ISW noted that the comments were, he's a Russian oligarch, or I should say Russian oligarch Konstantin Malofeev, told the Financial Times that Putin will likely reject any plan for peace negotiations that Trump puts forth unless the plan accounts for Russia's security concerns. Listen to what Putin is demanding as part of any deal. Trump reverses the U.S. policy allowing Ukraine to use Western-provided long-range weapons to strike into Russia. Trump agrees to remove Zelensky from office. Good luck with that. Trump agrees to meet with Putin to discuss the situation in Ukraine, the future of European security. Okay, here's the problem too. Trump has no ability to discuss European security. That's up to the Europeans. I mean, Trump could screw over Europe, which he probably will, but it's up to the Europeans. And Putin is trying to make it like this way he kicks the Europeans out and says Russia and America will discuss the future of European security, because Putin is trying to pretend like Russia's still a superpower. They're not. Russia doesn't matter anymore. I mean, they've got a big military and oil and gas, and that's it. John McCain once famously called them a gas station with nuclear weapons. Senator McCain, Republican American senator. Russia doesn't matter anymore internationally. I mean, they do, but they do in a pain in the ass way. They aren't a superpower anymore. And Russia wants to be, they're Fredo. They're Fredo and the Godfather, right? Why don't you ever pick me? Russia wants to be picked. So the Russians are demanding that Trump sit down with them and divide up Europe or something, because Russia is just as important to Europe as America is, right? Bullshit. I mean, it's totally not true. But by making Trump sit down with them and do this, they would be establishing themselves as equals. First of all, as if they're equals to us, which they're not, obviously, but also as if Russia's more is lording itself over Europe when Europe could destroy Russia at this point in a war. It would be a bloody war, but they still would destroy them. Finally, that was it. Oh, okay. So the other thing, actually, this was in Sky News as well today. Thank you, Ann. This was kind of concerning. Sky News was saying today that their defense people, that they think, sorry, my allergies are bad today. Sky News thinks that the Brits are starting to cave on Ukraine, that the British line, the party line, with Rishi Sunak, with Keir Starmer, the current prime minister, was always, we will defend Ukraine to the end. We will give Ukraine the weapons it needs to win the war. Now, the latest comment from the British prime minister is, it is British policy to put Ukraine in the strongest possible position for negotiations. So it is not British policy to arm Ukraine to win the war. It's to arm Ukraine to win the negotiations. Now, what's interesting is, let me read what Sky News' analyst said. Make no mistake, this is a significant shift. Only last month, both Sir Keir and French President Macron were promising to support Ukraine unwaveringly for as long as necessary to thwart Russia's war of aggression. In the summer, his predecessor, Rishi Sunak, stated British policy on Ukraine was based on the principle that aggression cannot and will not prevail. If negotiations happen and settle on some kind of compromise, as they always do, Russian aggression will have prevailed to some extent at least. The thing is, we're fully, but is this really news? Okay, right? Does anybody think that the West is going to arm Ukraine to win the war now? No, and right, we love them to, but quite seriously, am I the pessimist, or everybody kind of knows that this is not going well, right? As far as we didn't help Ukraine, we kind of screwed them, and the Russians dug in, and now it's a stalemate. That NATO's not going to give Ukraine the weapons it needs to win the war. We know that. So to some degree, obviously, we're trying to prepare Ukraine in the best possible way for the negotiations, whether it's grabbing some Russian land, etc. Right? But I feel like that's not. I guess it's a shift, but at the same time, isn't it just an acknowledgement of where we are? And where we are with this whole process? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe saying it publicly is a bit too much. They shouldn't be saying it publicly, but I feel like it's an acknowledgement of what we already know is happening, which is there's going to have to be a negotiation. Neither side is going to be able to win. But I agree, the words are going to make Putin do the happy dance. Aren't we doing a tad better? In what sense, Chopper? What do you mean? The Russians are starting to do a tad better, which is the bad part lately. Russia's been doing better, Now, the Trump thing does throw a wild card in, because if Putin decides to, crap on Trump and not go along with the negotiations, you never know, That is exactly what we did, Mustard. Yeah, we gave Ukraine too much to let them. We're giving Ukraine too much to let them fail. Right. No, we're giving Ukraine enough so that it doesn't fail, but not enough so that it can win. That was the point all along. Right. We didn't want Ukraine to win. We wanted to make sure Ukraine didn't lose, but we also wanted to make sure Ukraine didn't win. Because if Ukraine won, Russia would be embarrassed and they have nuclear weapons. And oh my God, it's scary, right? But we didn't want Ukraine to lose because A, that's bad for Ukraine and we care. But B, it's bad if Russia wins and then Russia is emboldened to invade other countries and things like that. So, but yeah, from the beginning, Biden, but it wasn't just Biden, it was the French and the Germans too. Their goal was to have a tie. They wanted Ukraine to be tied and the Russians to basically have a stalemate, and that's what they got. It's sick, but that's what they got. I talked about the British and French troops. Let me see here. I'm going to skip the rest of the news today. That's enough news. We've been talking an hour anyway. That's enough news. I mean, we'll talk news now. I mean, your questions and comments and everything else. But that's enough for like specific news I was going to get into. So yes, scary stuff. I mean, the world is, if you thought the world was complicated, but aren't we glad that now that the world is exploding everywhere, that we have a competent, sane, altruistic expert in foreign policy coming to take over the American presidency? This is my coffee mug that Callum got me from Glasgow in Scotland. My back update is I went to 2 doctors today, and I probably have to get an injection of steroid in my spine in a week or so, which is not a happy thing. It's relatively safe, but you could have a stroke and die. It's one of those procedures that's safe, but you can die. So I was like, oh, that's nice. That was good to hear. But yeah, so I've got to get an MRI. Then I got to go see the other doctor. It still hurts, which is why I'm doing my slouch broadcast today. If I lean back in my chair, it feels good. I've got a pinched nerve in my spine. And if I lean back in my chair, it feels good. If I sit up, because I'm supposed to be sitting up like this to do the show, my back starts to go, ee! So I have to lean back. So it's kind of funny because it makes it look like I'm like hanging out, but doing it so I don't scream. Thank you, Carl. Appreciate the gift. Not FDA approved. Oh, that's interesting. Chiropractor? Yeah. I've never trusted chiropractors entirely. I think something like this, I'd be a little scared, like my spinal cord is compressing a little and pinching nerves. I'd just be a little afraid of having a chiropractor mess with it. I mean, it just scares me a little, hang upside down. I've heard of that. I've got to probably start to do the yoga. Stretching, you never know, can help. My neighbor was telling me Pilates is supposed to be good for that too. I've got to start doing my yoga again. Yeah. That's my concern. What Deborah said. I don't trust chiropractors. I mean, meaning if I was totally healthy, I would. But I don't trust somebody screwing around with my back. If my spine is pinching my nerve, you have an inversion table. Oh, that's funny. Any case, so let's see. But I will say I was impressed with the doctor because the doctor was like, oh, of course, American health system, MRI. The first place I called, we can get you an MRI mid-January. I was like, mid-January? The second place I called, ooh, we can squeeze you in January 2nd. I'm like, 2nd? Finally, I was able to get one, and I had to call all over the town. I got one that can do an MRI in 11 days from now, and I will give credit to my doctor. My doctor went, that's ridiculous. He goes, I'm going to call. So the doctor's office is going to try to get me a quicker one. But anyway, chiropractic. Okay. I mean, again, I'm not wholly against chiropractors. I'm just afraid if the guy doesn't know what he's he's going to screw up my back, because of the nerve stuff. It just scares me. Yeah. I'm a little, I don't like the idea of a steroid injection in my back either, but still. You're in Indiana? I don't even remember that, Mustard. I'm not remembering that. You're in Indiana? No. Maybe I knew that. I was forgetting. I guess I should know that. I've been mailing you things. I'm forgetting what state you were in. Any case, yeah, the chiropractor thing scares me a little. Yeah. A blood draw. They sell it on the black market. Oh, Michigan, that makes sense. Okay, the Michigan thing makes sense. Okay. I was going to say, I didn't remember you as Indiana. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah. Oh, the other thing I got, I don't know if you noticed, I got the Amazon sweater cleaner, sweater cutter thing for getting rid of the pills on the sweater, and it actually works. Like, I don't know if you can tell the sweater. I mean, there's like a little bit of something here I can see that I didn't quite get, but it actually looks like the sweater's new, doesn't it? I mean, I'm kind of blown away because this is like old sweater of my mom or my dad's. It's still got some pilling on the arms, but I didn't destroy the sweater, which I was shocked. And it actually does look like it looks smooth. Yeah. A sweater shaver. I guess I've got to get the zipper fixed, but I like this sweater because actually I told people it reminds me of Picard. Like, it's a Star Trek sweater. The design, the design on it, you kind of want to go, you know? Yeah. I had no idea these things existed. And you guys, so I went onto Amazon. You guys said buy one. I bought one for like $10 on Amazon. It's very good. Massages are kind of the same thing. I would not want to go to a massage. Yes, Jean-Luc, not the food chain, exactly. I don't trust going to somebody massage unless they were literally like an MD. You know what I mean? Because the same thing. I don't want somebody or a really good physical therapist. Who was it? My mom's physical therapist screwed up her back at one point. And they did it for me too. They did something that screwed up my condition and made it worse. At physical therapy, I was like, this is hurting. And they pushed it too far. So like even physical therapy, I've had like, usually I get these kids in their 20s. And you know what? They're not doctors. Like, I don't mind if they're trying to help me stretch my leg. But when you've got like a condition that's really, like my nerves in my back, I don't think I want some child who's not an MD, figuring it out. You know what I mean? Like, it just, yeah. Anyway. Thank you, PTX. But yes, we'll see. So next week, and of course, and at the same time, I've got trigger finger. Can you see it doing this? My middle finger is holding back. I've got trigger finger in my hand too. It's this thing where like the ligament or something gets too inflamed and it doesn't quite go through the hole it has to go through. So it gets stuck when you open your hand. So I was going to have a little minor procedure for that on Monday. And now I'm skipping that so we can do the back. And I'm like, oh my God. Friends of mine said years ago, one of their friends said like the warranty ran out on his body all at once. It's like amazing. Yeah, the trigger finger surgery is supposed to be very minor, Jen. I've had the steroid shots. It just didn't work anymore. So, but now that I'm doing the back thing, we're going to skip the fingers for the moment and do the back first. So, which sucks because now I got to move it to after the new year, and then my insurance, my deductible kicks in again. What do you do? At least my sweater looks nice. So I have something. I have something. Moved to Mexico. I know. Moved to France. Are you kidding? Moved to France. It's a lot cheaper there too. Oh, the cold weather, you mean? Okay. He freaked when he couldn't feel his finger after the procedure. Yeah, no, I know it's going to be numb, and it could be numb for a few days. But again, we're not doing that. Actually, the nerve, the spine injection can be, rioting with the French, émeutes. The word for riot in France, I believe the word for riot is émeute. I don't know why I know that. It's one of my favorite French words because it's such an interesting word. Right? Is it a riot or I think it's not just a protest. An émeute, I think, is a riot. Help me out. Gunther, you're our francophone here. Actually, there's a couple of you Frenchies. Some of the Québécois are here tonight. Normally they're with us. I don't know if they're here tonight. Une émeute, a riot. Okay, wait. Je pensais que c'était ça. It's just it just sounds funny. Émeute. Anyway, so what else, guys? I know we haven't seen Audrey. We haven't seen Audrey in a long time. Is she okay? I mean, she's not required to come all the time, but we do miss her. Thank you, Chopper. My hair is coming back. I chopped it off. Although I will say it was kind of fun having it chopped off. I do enjoy having the hair chopped off sometimes, but it's coming back now. It did grow fast. I'll say that because it's been 2 months. Your Duolingo hasn't gotten that far. I like Duolingo. It's actually quite good. English and Spanish are pretty good though. I will say French and Italian. French is more useful-ish. Italian is just a lot of fun. And with Spanish, Italian might be easier than French with Spanish, I suspect. French, I mean, I speak all three. Italian is right in between Spanish and French, really. Like grammatically, I find it a little more French. The language a little more Spanish. German is obnoxious. German always struck me as interesting too, though, just because, you know. I don't think so, JNT. We do not come in spam. Also because I got to tell you, your spam's a little confusing. It's not quite like no one knows what you're actually offering. A Horgon? Oh, a Horgon. Oh my God. Yeah. No, that is a statue from, well, it's a Mexican statue, but it actually is very interesting. The statue is a copy of a Mexican statue, but it's still it's a nice piece. It's a copy. It's Mexican, like a goddess or god or something, but it was in the lobby of the Citizens Bank of Washington, D.C. My old roommate, Sorka Brady, wonderful Irish lady who I'm still trying to track down. She's somewhere in Dublin. Anybody from Dublin, help me here, Sorka. But Sorka worked at Citizens Bank, and they closed the bank down, and they were giving stuff away, and it was this goddess, this Mexican god they had in the lobby with a stand, and they gave it to her. So she called it the goddess of fertility. And when Sorka moved back to Ireland, she couldn't take it back, so I inherited it. So every Christmas, the goddess gets a nice little Santa hat. Deutsch sprechen macht Spaß. I know the first three words. I don't know what Spaß is. Speaking German makes something. I find German, I think that Noah says, fascinated with German, like comparing it to English. I do. Something about German I just find fascinating as well, even though it's especially not useful because so many Germans speak English. You know, but the language interests me, you know, the way they capitalize everything. It's so guttural. Arabic is really guttural, although Arabic also depends where. Like you can hear, I don't speak Arabic, but you can hear different Arabics that are more whole and less, you know, less guttural, you know. Greek mythology. Greek mythology is good. Anyway, so yes, we can hang out and talk about anything. We can do all the political crazy news today, or just talk in general. It's up to you guys. We're kind of doing the general talk, which is also allowed. We do that from time to time. Usually it's more of our hangout over on Discord when we get into just talking about recipes and everything else. Trying to think what else. Biden's pardon. We talked about that the other day. You know, yeah, Biden maybe shouldn't have pardoned his son. Okay. Are we really pretending like it's the biggest, craziest thing of the world? Really? I mean, really? Right? The other guy literally tried to violently overthrow the government. The other guy literally pardoned, like, you know, murderers, baby killers, like actual baby killers. Like, I mean, really? And Biden pardoned his son who was being harassed by the Republicans. Okay. I mean, yes, maybe he shouldn't have done it if he was trying to be an upstanding good guy. Sure. I couldn't care less. And on the backfiring thing, I understand your argument saying it could backfire on Biden. I also think it's kind of bullshit. What I mean is, you are right. The Republicans will use this to do Trump's pardons and say, Biden did it first. Here's the problem. Do you honestly think Trump wasn't going to pardon all the terrorists anyway, the domestic terrorists from January 6th? He already promised to do it. Trump pardoned a bunch of criminals, like Steve Bannon and all the rest of them. Michael Flynn, crazy Michael Flynn. He pardoned all of these guys last term anyway. I mean, Donald Trump tried to violently overthrow the government and he got away with it in the election. Do you really think Trump's base is going to say, well, sure, it's okay for him to sexually assault women trying to violently overthrow the country, but I draw the line at him doing a pardon as a political favor. We're not going to stand by him? Of course they're going to stand by him. He didn't need Biden. That's the thing. Trump doesn't need Biden to say, aha, look what Biden did. I mean, Republicans will do it because it's what they do, but it's a cult. They're going to defend him anyway. And Trump would do it anyway. Again, he tried to violently overthrow the government and they voted for him anyway. Right? Republican voters are totally fine with Trump being as corrupt as can be when it comes to pardons. They don't need Joe Biden to go, well, look what Joe Biden did. So that's my problem is you are correct that the Republicans will say, look what Joe Biden did. But you are incorrect in suggesting that somehow this helps Trump because Trump therefore would not be helped as much in doing the pardons he wants if Biden hadn't done it. Trump's going to do it anyway. As Trump famously said, he could kill somebody on Fifth Avenue and nobody would care. He was right. He was right. We voted him in. I mean, as a neighbor of mine said today, we're probably going to lecture the South Koreans about democracy when we elected a guy who tried to overthrow our democracy. I mean, exactly. And he's going to pardon. He promised again this week he's going to pardon the domestic terrorists from January 6th. Thank you, Bryce, for the gifts. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. You know, so I mean, that's so like, yeah. I having said that, his son probably does deserve the pardon because you know what? His son's a mess. I don't think Hunter Biden's a bad person. I don't think he's a criminal. I think he's a mess. His son's a mess, you know, and I feel sorry for him. I don't like him. I think he did try to take advantage of dad's name, but I also think he looks like he's a total mess of a guy. He was a drug addict and everything else. He's just a mess of a person. And I feel, even better than I feel sorry, I pity him. And the Republicans have tried to use him nonstop for 4 years. They have run Biden's son through the ringer. This guy who's a mess already, and that's not fair. So for Biden to do it based on that, I'm okay with that. You know, there wasn't really a murder on January 6th. There was a woman who was shot who deserved it. But there were certainly police officers that died as a result of January 6th. That is correct. The terrorists ended up indirectly taking the lives of multiple police officers who they attacked that day violently. Yes, they did. But the woman who was shot deserved it. I don't really care, Jay Sizzle. Unless you voted against Trump, you're fine. But I've got news for you. The Republican Party is now the MAGA party. You can say you're Republican, that's fine. Your party literally is Donald Trump's party. It's like America. I mean, we can't pretend, oh, Republican Party's okay. It's just the guy the Republican Party nominated and got behind and voted for who's a fascist pig who tried to overthrow the government, right? You can't play that game anymore. Your party is corrupt and un-American and anti-American. You may not be, and you could be a Republican without a party. That's okay. I mean, you know, a lot of people I know are the good Republicans. They still call themselves Republicans, but they don't believe in the party anymore, and they didn't vote for Trump. But to suggest that people are generalizing by saying the Republican Party is now evil, wrong. The Republican Party is now evil. It is now corrupt. It is. It is. Donald Trump's your guy. You brought him back or your party certainly brought him back. It is. You know, there are some good Republicans who didn't vote for him, and we can count them on one hand, sadly. You know, the country brought this idiot back. It's horrible. Biden should almost write himself a blanket pardon. The problem is it's not clear legally if a president can pardon themselves. So that's a whole kind of issue there. And Trump will probably try to pardon himself. Biden won't try to pardon himself. He won't pardon himself. You know. What else, guys? What do we do now? Talk recipes. I don't know what to do now. I mean, seriously, I have no idea what to do now. The country's fucked. It's fucked for a bit. No, I mean, these people, they've destroyed our country. They don't believe in democracy. I just don't, you know. The American people deserve whatever they get at this point. I mean, they really do. I mean, our half doesn't, but their half does. He's going to destroy Social Security. He's going to destroy healthcare. Take away healthcare from everybody. Like, okay, you wanted it. He's going to raise the price of your phones and computers, technology, you name it. The price is going to go through the roof because of Donald Trump. Oh, this is cute. TikTokers, you see, I could hear her back there. YouTubers could hear her. Sasha was at the corner going, trying to get my attention. Yeah, no, it's a big I told you so. It makes me sad because he's going to hurt a lot of people. But At this point, I'm like, you know what? Let Republicans' standard of living go down. Let the economy crash for them. I mean, I don't want it to, but at this point, he's gonna raise inflation massively. Okay, you know what? It's not gonna hurt. I mean, it'll hurt me, but it's not gonna hurt me nearly as much as it's gonna hurt them. It's not gonna hurt Democrats nearly as much as Republicans. Republicans come from the poorest states. It's like, okay. I mean, it sucks, but right, fuck around, find out. So, but Democrats still need to do a good job of constantly reminding them, and we whack them in the midterms. Exactly. The Democrats have got to do a good job of reminding people. Elon Musk is already talking about privatizing Social Security. Elon went off on that track last night. Elon Musk, Donald Trump's best friend, wants to privatize Social Security, putting the entire thing at risk. Surprise! They want to save money by privatizing it. Surprise! Yep, China's already banning exports of high-tech materials. Exactly. Armando, we saw that today. Yep. People were saying gallium and I forget what else. But the minerals that they use apparently, or earth metals or whatever you guys call them. Exactly. Hope Elon goes to jail. He's illegal. He is illegal. I'm not convinced you can apply for American citizenship based on a lie. I'm not rare earth metals. I'm not sure you can. Oh, good for you, Lauren. I did too. Oh, boy. Oh, what else, guys? Melania. Yeah, she's a trip too. We're not going to go too long today because I've got a TikTok training I have to do at 8:00. And I'm like, oh, God. I kind of hate these things. I try to do them because, I try to be a good player with the TikTok stuff, but they're the most rah-rah boring things. Rah-rah. I'm like, no, I don't want to sit for an hour doing rah-rah, but I have to do it to be a good little, I don't remember what it is exactly. I don't think we're supposed to talk about what the trainings are. I don't remember, so I'm not going to say, but it's sort of, help you become a better creator, give you ideas on how to do your lives better or do your videos better, stuff like that. And they could be useful, but there's a little too much. Hey, everybody, how are we today? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not 23. I don't want this meeting to go on for an hour. I want to know what's helpful, but I'm doing it. We'll see. I'll stop whining. Elon is technically eligible for deportation. I would think so. Man, I'm going to watch my dog start to eat stuff on the balcony again. Every little twig she can get her greedy little paws on. We'll see. Hopefully it's a good training. We're going to find. I shouldn't be so negative. It might be okay. I've done several of these trainings that have found them to be a little. Also, I'm also anti-meeting. I've never been a fan at organizations I've been at where every meeting has to be an hour long. Every freaking meeting. Come on in. And after a while, you're like, really? I mean, I can't. Exactly, Elon. Exactly, Luis. You're getting the handle on it, Luis, or the hang of it. That's good. Anyway, I'm not going to get into Zerpachi. I'm just trying to be a good player with the TikTok overlords. I feel like the more I interact with them and take their trainings and stuff, the more hopefully they'll see me as a team player and help me out when I get banned. So, anyway, see you, Colin. I'm going to hang up soon, I think, though, guys. Yes, so I can take a half-hour break before my training begins. Anything else? Last little minute thing. Well, so do go check out the auctions, like we said. A lot of cool stuff over at Discord. We're in the tail end. They're going to be ending throughout the day tomorrow. Different times for different items. So you'll see Russell's ahead on the drone. The Wagner patch was Jabarino. Jabarino is still ahead. Excellent. The fake Lego set. I forgot about that. We've got the fake Chinese Lego set. Ooh, I totally forgot to tell you. Although I've told you this one before. It is, oops, as I drop my my box here. That was a grenade box falling to the floor. This is a Chinese fake Lego devoted to the British Challenger tank in Ukraine that the Ukrainians are using to go after the Russians. And the Chinese made a whole different kits of these, of all the different Western weapons the Ukrainians are using to blow up the Russians. And they're putting the Ukrainian, flags on them, ZSU, which is the Armed Forces of Ukraine symbol. It's hilarious. But I love this because it's a fake Lego, but it's the Chinese government paying homage to the Ukraine, to the Western weapons destroying the Russians. I mean, like, you couldn't, could you get better capitalists? It makes me warm inside. I'm moving this grenade case here. It makes me warm inside as a capitalist to see China doing this. But yes, we've got a lot of really cool things. Let me see the trench art. The trench art container, Wandering Chill is ahead. The grenade box, Mark Starr is our only bidder. Mark, it looks like you might get it at this point. Zelensky sweatshirt, Serpachi. Oh, there's a really nice Ukrainian Christmas ornament too. I forgot about that. Uh-oh. Where's my Ukrainian Christmas ornament? Oh, here it is. This is actually very nice too. It's very pretty though, because it's the Petrokivka style. Very pretty traditional Ukrainian style, traditional Russian style as well, actually, but Ukrainian, but this one is Ukrainian. But very pretty. You can see it's a decent sized Christmas ornament. So that one, who is it? Chris Yaz? I'm not going to pronounce your name correctly. The camo net, Max Trax is ahead. I've got a White House Christmas ornament. Brandy's ahead. It smells like peppermint or like gingerbread. Jeffrey is ahead of the Ukrainian military patch. The trivet, Chazak is ahead. And the Ukrainian bracelet, Max Trax is ahead. All right, well, we've got a lot of good bids. I'm feeling good about the auctions. So thank you guys for that. I appreciate your support. We will, the drone is maybe at 120, I think. The drone's at 120, yeah, which is a good price. I kind of felt like the drone should start at 100. It's 120 right now, but I felt like the drone should start at 100. It's such a big thing, you know what I mean? It just felt like it would be inappropriate to go for less. So, I try to sort of make the prices realistic. Like I said, like that, the Wagner patch, Google it. The concluded sales on eBay are 150 to 300 for Wagner patch. They used to be 100, now they're 150 to $300. So that one I started at $50 because I figured, you know what, if nobody bids, somebody gets a really good deal. And people are bidding. It's still decently below. If you can get someone to bid for you, sure, German. You just have to get somebody who trusts you. I don't mind, yeah. But you got to get somebody who knows you and trusts you to pay them, you know what I mean? To pay. But, if you can figure it out, go for it. Yeah, sorry about. I'm bummed that it's being difficult for you, but for some reason it hates you. Clearly, the thing I wonder too with Discord is Discord getting weird that you changed your IP? Does it think you're changing your IP if you moved here? You said you're in the U.S., but if you were German, depending when you were abroad before, I don't know. I don't know why it's being so evil. Anyway, all right, guys. Oh yeah, well, and Russell, exactly, because Russell's going to get the drone working. Wait, you're the one, Russell. I'm already forgetting which person's which. Wait a minute, I'm forgetting which is which. Wait, who's the? Oh no, you're this one. No, Joshua was the other one. Yeah, Joshua also is going to try to get the drone up and running. That's right. Russell is the one bidding on this one, which I think would be really cool to see the drone up and running. You're bidding on it, right? Because Joshua's bid on the other one. No, I think it would be really, because Mustard at first was saying he thought it might be kind of creepy to get it running, and I was like, no, because again, this drone didn't hurt anybody. The Ukrainians took it down with a fishing net, so it is a karma-free drone, so to speak. No Ukrainians were injured with this drone, so that's good. But I just think it's really, because imagine like flying this thing and people going, "What is that drone?" Oh, it's Russian from Ukraine. It's a kamikaze drone. Oh, did Vlad say that? Vlad joked. I didn't remember if Vlad said that, Christina. Vlad joked, our friend Vlad, our Ukrainian friend, joked that we should return it to Russia if it starts to run again. Thank you. Oh, hey, Blue Shift. We're just about to sign off. Blue Shift is our wonderful agency that helps us with a lot of my crazy TikTok. I was going to say debacle. That's too strong of a word. Drama. Actually, you're on the wrong one. On YouTube, you would see the view of the Christmas tree. I've got a much nicer view over on YouTube. It's a little smaller here, of course, on TikTok, but the YouTube view is very actually. Oops, there it is. And with my dog, and my dog sitting there staring at me in the corner. Sasha's over there on YouTube, just like checking me out. She's doing dropping in on the. Not a drop in. What do you call it? She's photobombing my YouTube. That's very funny. There we go. Now you guys can see her on YouTube underneath the Christmas tree. Anyway, all right, guys. It's been an hour and a half. I'm going to call it quits because I've got like I said, a little training to do in half an hour. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for the gifts, everybody, for the hangouts. Do check out the auctions, like we said, over at Discord. They're very cool. They're going to end throughout the day tomorrow, different times. So you might want to go and check. You can click on the end auction. What does it say? End auction. I'm trying to remember. End time. When you click on the end time, it should show you what time in your time zone the auction actually ends. So do check them out, but they all end tomorrow. So, all right, guys, thank you so much. I'm going to be back tomorrow, 6 o'clock Eastern time, US. So join us then, and we will again talk about Ukraine, everything else. Obviously, all the other debacles in the world, like we did today, Syria, South Korea, Georgia, you name it. So, all right, guys, have a very good night. Exactly, Burp Russell. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right. All right. Have a good night, everybody. All right, YouTube, we'll start with you. Burp. All right, TikTok.